Live from the Score Atlanta television studios in North Atlanta, this is Georgia High School Sports Daily, powered by IBEW Local 613.
Welcome to another episode of Georgia High School Sports Daily. I'm Najee Wilkins along with Craig Say. We got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be talking to, obviously, AMSB SVP, and that is Chris Millman, Arthur Blank Foundation. Get the latest with him. We'll also be talking a little bit to Don Corr, latest with wrestling and everything going on there. And then obviously we'll talk about girls basketball records and much more on the show. But Craig, as we open, you brought up a great statistic. Just talk a little bit about the coaching hires real quick before we hit our headlines. I thought you brought up a great point. We usually see it's not a lot, and then it's a whole bunch that next year. So kind of last year we had a whole bunch, and then this year we're seeing just kind of a little downtrend compared to last year.
That's right. It's great to have perspective with this because it seems like a lot. Last year there were 75 coaching changes out of the 415 GHSA schools. That's quite a bit. I mean, 75 out of 415, but that was the lowest since 2011. And what tends to happen, it's like an every other year type of situation. When you have a year where it's not that many, even though 75 sounds like a lot, usually the year after that you have about 100 plus. And it makes sense because usually a coach isn't going to be somewhere for 1 year. You usually give them that first year to try things out. They'll stick around. That second year, things aren't going in the right direction, then you let go. So I think this is going to be a really busy one. And a reason it's going to be so busy is because last year, relatively speaking, it was one of the less eventful years.
And are you surprised at all, Craig, of just this week alone, just how many coaching changes we've seen? We've seen it this past weekend with Coach Abrams, obviously Cedartown. We've seen like 5 or 6 hires already this week, and it's only Wednesday. So are you surprised with just how volatile it's been?
Absolutely. And then it's obviously, I wouldn't say stressful, but it's tough for a coach because you're going to apply for this job. You know that some of them, there's 40 other applicants. You're going to get to the second round of interviews, but it's also really tough if you're making the decision from an administration because they're looking at it, and then what if this guy has his hat in a bunch of different schools, and then he takes that job and he was your top candidate. Now you got to rethink things a little bit, and maybe that number 1 to number 2 guy had completely different visions for your program. Maybe this one wanted to bring in this offensive coordinator from this school. This one wanted to retain some of the staff. I mean, it is very complicated, and the carousel for sure is really becoming active. I think the Brookwood hire yesterday, which we'll get into, is interesting. They went in-house with Chad Nybert. He was the defensive coordinator. He wasn't really at Brookwood for that long, but from what I heard, you look at the Brookwood enrollment numbers. I think at one point Brookwood, Mill Creek were the biggest schools in the state. When that enrollment number shrinks and new schools open up in Gwinnett, there's less teaching positions. So I think Brookwood's looking at a smaller staff. That's why they wanted to go in-house, promote Chad, and then retain a bunch of their current staff.
Speaking of, Craig, let's go ahead and get into that. Speaking of our fast break headlines at the top, Chad Nybert obviously got hired as Brookwood's head coach. Craig, so I'll let you take it away.
That's right. So this is Chad Nybert. He played football at Georgia Southern. He's been at Brookwood a few years. He's actually from Germany, came over to the United States to play football. He's been at Brookwood and, of course, filled in for Coach Jones last year after, I believe, the 3rd week of the season up into the playoffs, and they ended up finishing 7-4. He was also the defensive coordinator this last year, so they're going to retain him. He's familiar with the program. But I think the big storyline with Nybert taking over, Brookwood has a 43-year history. They've also won 2 state titles. You got Dave Hunter, Mark Cruz, Phillip Jones. He's only the 5th head coach in Brookwood history. So this is a program and team that doesn't really ride this carousel. So there's big shoes to fill, and we'll see if that staff at all changes. Oh, yeah, Bruce Stevens was the other coach.
All right, let's go to headline 2 now. This is part of my story for today for the basketball blog on ScoreATL.com. Before start forward, Jalen Wingfield has announced his top 10 schools. Obviously, a phenomenal player that we have here in this state. As you can see, the top 10 includes Auburn, Cincinnati, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Florida State, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Virginia Tech, and Mississippi State. Obviously, one of the best ones here, top 75 recruit. I got a chance to see him when they went in the Battle of Peach, and he went up against Caleb Wilson and Holly Anderson. Now, they did lose the game, but what I did appreciate is that he did not shy away from going against one of the best players here in the state of Georgia. He was guarding him, he was going at him and putting the ball on the floor and scoring buckets as well. So that's just what you want to see. So now he is down to a top 10. It'll be interesting to see how everything kind of progresses now. And for those that don't know, the regular signing period for 25 class for basketball is April 16th through May 21st. So that so still some openings now, and kids still obviously deciding. 2026 now is going to start to kind of heat up here, especially with AAU basketball coming after the state championships over in March. All right, Craig. Headline 3. I will get that one as well. Bella Ragone, she was named to Naismith Basketball Trophy Team. She's had a phenomenal career so far. She's one of 25 selections to the Naismith Trophy Girls High School Player Midseason Team. She's a 6'2" forward, is one of the nation's top players in the class of 2026 and a 5-star prospect in the 247 Sports Composite Rankings. As you guys know, this is an esteemed list. Another big name on there is Kate Harper. She's the #1 player rated in this 2025 class. She is also phenomenal. But those two, Craig, I mean, it's great to see 2 elite players being on that list.
Yeah, tons of exciting names in that junior class that have a lot of basketball. We highlighted the girl from Athens, Christian, yesterday, only a junior. She's already got 1,000 career points. And I'm noticing a lot of 4-stars on the guys' side. You mentioned Jalen, a lot of talent on the girls' side too. But what I like about him, 6'7", forward. He doesn't seem to be one of those tweener guys. I mean, he's a true forward prospect.
No, 100%. Yeah, he's a total forward wing prospect. I mean, he can do a little bit of everything. Now you see guys at forward that can handle the basketball, they can probe into the lane, but he can do a little bit of everything. And what's most impressive, Craig, is what he does on the defensive side of the ball. He gets a lot of rejection. He leads his team with 2 blocks so far this year.
Yeah, and going up against Caleb Wilson, obviously a great way to just judge him going up against the best of the best, a senior in Caleb Wilson that we will get to see on Saturday play in a nationally televised game. You can check that story out, ScoreATL.com. All right, headline 4, former Parkview head coach Joe Sturdivant is going to take a South Dakota job to help his son deal with an illness. Joe Sturdivant is stepping down as Parkview's football coach after 2 seasons to coach football in South Dakota. In a move, he hopes to help his 8-year-old son, Bear, who has been diagnosed with PANS, Pandas disease. It's a pediatric neuropsychiatric disorder. He says, my son is sick and is affected by mold. Georgia is humid. It rains all the time. It's a great place to live, but not necessarily for Bear. The opportunity came up to move out west, and we decided that is best for our family. So he has 2 seasons at Parkview. He'll be taking the job at South Dakota. And I believe, Hayden pointed this out, this is just the second time in 43 years that the Parkview and Brookwood jobs are both changing in the same years.
Wow, that's an interesting statistic right there. And obviously, we got a chance to see Coach Sturdivant in our Georgia Tech Corky Kell 7-on-7 tournament that we had a few years ago. They ended up winning it all, so I want to point that out as well. But all right, let's go to our final headline, headline 5. Tower wins JV DeKalb championship this past weekend. Had one more top 4 finisher to point out. Southwest DeKalb Panthers, they had 188 score to 181-50 score to capture the recent 2025 DeKalb County Junior Varsity Wrestling Championships title at Columbia High School. Towers collected 4 gold medals, silver, bronze, and a 4th place on the way to the title. Leon Woods, a 3-0, picked up the gold in 113 weight class by going 3-0 on the way to the title, winning the state championship or winning the championship match by pin, fall over Stevenson's Zaki Whited 2-1. Also, you have Caleb Derville. He was 3-0. He swept all 3 of his matches by pinfall in the 132 class for another Towers gold medal as he defeated Lithonia's Charles Allison 3-1. So more news obviously is in there. Definitely go to DeKalb County recruits. They do a really good job of just detailing everything that's going on with DeKalb County sports. So shout out to all the guys that end up winning this past week at the JV County Championships. Other headlines and news, we don't have it in there. We will talk about it here in just a second, not the Marietta one, but I do want to give a shout out to the Tucker Tigers head basketball coach, James Hartree. He won his 500th career victory over Clarkson this past week. They are off to a 12-4 start. They're going to play in the Pace Academy basketball Classic this upcoming weekend at Pace, so they'll be interesting to watch. They have the 1 o'clock game as well. But we wanted to give him some shine here on the show, and we also will have him on the show this upcoming Friday. So stay tuned for that. It'll be a lot of fun to see about just chronicling everything he's done in his career and what he's been able to accomplish and everything he's doing with this great Tucker basketball team.
Yes, it will. And you mentioned just what a good job DeKalb County does. It's true. I mean, Mark Brock and that team, they not only do a good job of getting stats for all the different sports, they provide the history, and then what they do at the JV level is incredible. And then Towers being able to get that county championship, it's huge. You're going up against MLK, Southwest DeKalb, Dunwoody, Chamblee. There's so many talented teams. So just a great job for the Titans being able to get that title. We'll see what those prospects do in the future.
100%. Well, we got a big hire from out of state for the Marietta Blue Devils. Craig, I know you've been talking about it. We thought we were going to go in a different direction, but they hired a new coach. Now he comes from Florida. What do you think about that hire? Kind of a splash hire when you think about it because, you know, Marietta is obviously a great program, won a state championship here a few years ago. What's your thoughts on the hire?
Well, I mean, obviously this was one of those jobs that had the 40 applicants probably. It's a great job. They won a state title pretty recently under Coach Morgan, who also came from out of state. I believe he was in the Kentucky area after winning a lot of state titles. So with this one, I think he had to have nailed the interview process and really had a vision for immediate success and then long term. From what I've seen, the reactions very positive from the Marietta fan base. He comes in with a lot of success in that Florida area. Georgia high school football is a little different, but one of the things that attracts coaches from other states, obviously you have more resources in the state of Georgia. You can have better facilities with the weight room, nutrition. So I think he's going to be able to maximize that, and it'll be very exciting. Got some big games. We know Marietta always has a difficult schedule.
100%. All right, guys, that's going to conclude segment one. Coming up, we will have an interview with AMBSE head Chris Millman here right on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Great teams are committed, focused on the details, and work hard to be their best. From practice to games, right down to their gear. Your field is a critical part of the game that allows your athletes to showcase their athletic abilities. Sports Turf is committed to bringing your team innovative sports surfaces with unparalleled performance. You bring the vision. Our team brings it to life.
The Georgia Sheet Metal JETC equips apprentices with the knowledge and skills required to start a rewarding career in the sheet metal industry with programs in HVAC, industrial welding, and testing, adjusting, and balancing. Training is 100% free and allows apprentices to earn as they learn. Journeymen graduate with no student debt and have the potential to earn more than most college graduates. Visit our website to learn more about this opportunity at careersinsheetmetal.com.
This makes my dad proud. He went through his whole career as an employee. Now I'm the employer, something he didn't achieve.
We are signatory to IBEW and do IBEW people wherever we go that we feel like they are faster and better than any of our competition.
The advantages of being a signatory contractor is you're trained employees. You have unlimited manpower. It allows me to bid on jobs that I ordinarily would not go after.
Man, you know how to do this? Man, I don't even know. I was flipping burgers last week.
Violation, unsportsmanlike conduct, impersonating a craftsman.
Skilled trade unions are well-trained career pros, not part-timers. Construction is a rewarding and lucrative career with the advancement potential, but you have to do it the right way with the right training. Learn how you can be a pro. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is brought to you by the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613. Electrify your career.
At Georgia High School Sports Daily, I'm Najee Wilkes along with Craig Sager. Remember that you can watch the show on the Let It News First app, the CBS Sports local streaming app Zeem, and also on Peachtree Sports Network via YouTube TV. But without further ado, let's bring on the head of the Arthur M. Blank Foundation, Chris Millman. What's going on, Chris? How's everything?
Hey, guys. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you coming on. You do great work.
Well, I appreciate it. You know, we try to use the platform that we've been given here in the National Football League to make a difference. And luckily, we have an owner here in Atlanta that definitely wants to utilize that. So it gives us the power to do a lot of incredible things.
Yes, sir. Quick, before we throw Najee, I really like the setup, Chris.
Yeah, this is my best ESPN Adam Schefter setup here. So I'm probably a step or two down from him, but yeah, it's not too bad.
Love it. Now, Chris, obviously, before we break down everything and the great things that Atlanta Falcons are doing, I want you to just tell everybody a little bit about your background, kind of where it started for you and how you've kind of gotten into this role and you're relishing into this role. But I know you very well, but for those at home that don't know you, just tell a little bit about your background.
Yeah, so I started my career working for the NFL team down in Jacksonville, Florida. I worked with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Got my foot in the door doing the team's laundry for about 4 years there. With the club down there, and didn't know anything about, you know, careers in sports or anything like that. But I was lucky enough to get an opportunity there and basically use that to kind of get my foot in the door, and discovered community relations and community work and what the National Football League does to give back to communities, and was able to land in my first full-time position there with the Jaguars in their community relations field, and did that for a few years there, but then an opportunity came up here in Atlanta, and to my point earlier, the chance to come work in an organization led by our owner and chairman, Arthur Blank, was a pretty hard opportunity to pass up. So went for the opportunity and ended up landing it, and I've been lucky and fortunate to be with the Falcons organization now for close to 18 years. So I've had a pretty good journey and run here in Atlanta, and hopefully I can continue on and continue to do this work for many years to come.
Yes, sir. And there's one more thing I want to highlight, obviously, before we talk about the grant and everything, sir. You were nominated for the Atlanta Falcons Salute to Service Award by the USAA, presented by USAA. Talk a little bit about that and what that meant to you to kind of be, you know, honored for that. You do great work, and you also highlight the military families out there as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, it was something that I wasn't expecting by any stretch of the imagination. Each year, every NFL team nominates someone who kind of goes above and beyond to give back to our nation's military, veterans, families of the fallen, et cetera. And a number of years, we've you know, nominated one of our players, head coach Dan Quinn, when he was here, not only was nominated but won the overall award. One of the years he was here, we actually have won the award 4 out of 5 times here of recent overall among the whole NFL. But this year they surprised me, and our leadership team nominated me for this award to represent our team. And I've always been kind of that behind the scenes guy who was, you know, putting our players, coaches, staff in the ability to give back to our military, and putting together events to really show the type of impact and care that we have for them. And was very fortunate to be nominated. Was not expected by any means, but I was the Atlanta Falcons representative for this year as our Salute to Service nominee. So it was definitely rewarding to receive something like that. Not something I ever expected to receive.
And then talk a little bit about this partnership that you guys have established now, obviously with the GHSA. You guys have a grant out for programs that did not have a flag football program in 2024, but you guys are donating basically $10,000. The deadline to apply is March 14th, 2025. Talk a little bit about that. Why do you guys continue to be kind of the pioneer and one of the best, you know, teams here in the country, as far as the Atlanta Falcons and the NFL, just continues to kind of pioneer and push this forward?
Well, you know, what's happened over the last few years is that, you know, there's obviously been a lot of NFL teams that have leaned into this, and we're proud to say that we were one of the first. But as you go back to 2017, we basically put ourselves out there that we wanted to do our part to bring girls flag football to our state. At that time, 0 high schools in Georgia had a team. There was 3 states in our country that had girls flag football as a sanctioned high school sport, one of which was Florida. And so, you know, when we saw that our neighboring state there to the south had this program, we know football is just as big, if not more big, in Georgia than it is in Florida. And we said, we got to do our part to bring it. So we did. So we did a pilot program in Gwinnett County in our very first year in 2018. All 19 high schools had a girls flag football team. You fast forward the following year, we had 5 additional counties in Georgia that joined on, and shortly thereafter is when the Georgia High School Association decided to sanction girls flag football as a sanctioned sport here in our state. You fast forward to today, we have about 275 high schools in our state that have a girls flag football team, which is remarkable. This is really just awesome. However, we still are only a little bit more than halfway there to have every high school in our state with a girls flag football team, and that's what our goal is. And so Arthur, being the leader that he is, we've put a tremendous amount of funding into this over the last several years. But basically, he asked the question, what do we need to do to get the rest of these schools on board to field a team? And basically what we came up with is if you're a high school out there that currently doesn't have a team, you have the ability to apply for up to $10,000 for your school to help start a girls flag football team at your high school. And so we've put that out there. We're giving schools the opportunity to apply for that. There's also schools that currently have girls flag that have the ability to apply for up to $5,000. So this is an effort for us to continue to try to grow girls flag football. We want every school in our state to have it, and we think this will go a long way to helping us get there.
And then one of the core values of Arthur Blank throughout his entire career is innovating continuously, never having a finish line. But what just stands out, when you reflect on those initial meetings about flag football and how you guys have been able to reassess each year and continue to take that next step?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When we first had these conversations, there was a lot of resistance, quite frankly. It's not easy right now to add additional things at the school level because everybody's taxed, athletic directors, coaches, etc. And then also there's the fear of, girls leaving certain sports and coaches being upset about it and that kind of thing. And so we really had to it was important for us to get a pilot done. And when we first started in Gwinnett, and this is one of my favorite stories, when we first started in Gwinnett, we hoped that maybe we would get 10 girls, 15 girls that would come to interest meetings and tryouts and that kind of thing. And even the county athletic director at the time, that's what he thought, we might be able to get that. The very first interest meeting at one of the larger high schools in Gwinnett, there was over 200 girls that came to tryouts. And so what that told us right then and there was, man, we have something here. We just got to give girls the opportunity to play. And so, little by little, we've made more and more progress, and we've had to innovate in some school districts. And the Georgia High School Association wanted to make sure they found the right time of year on when they could do this, so it would not disrupt a lot of the other athletics and whatnot. And so, what they've landed on is a season that essentially starts in October and ends right at the same time as our boys tackle championships do at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And so there's had to be a lot of innovating with this. We're currently working in Montana right now, who Arthur has a great deal of affection for and care for, and wants to do a lot of philanthropy work up there. And we're in the midst of piloting girls flag football up there now, and it's taken a little bit longer than probably we would have hoped, but hopefully here in the near future we'll have that as a sanctioned sport up there as well.
100%. Well, Chris, this is all the time that we have for today. We appreciate you coming on. We'd love to have you back again to talk about all the great initiatives that the Arthur M. Blank Foundation is doing, and you yourself. You guys do a great job. We appreciate you always looking out for Georgia high school sports.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Go Falcons.
Go Falcons. All right, guys, coming up, we will have the girls' basketball rankings and some breaking news right at the top of the hour.
Georgia High School Sports Daily is presented by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. And by Smart Local 85. Sheet metal is a smart move.
All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So some breaking news right now to reveal on the show. Officially, Loganville has hired a new coach, Nick Snowden. He was a graduate at Kennesaw State University. He recently just coached at North Cobb. He was the co-defensive coordinator this past year. So a special congratulations to him. He will be the new head coach for the Loganville team, the Loganville Red Devils, who was 2-8 this past season. Also, other news, the Griffin job has also opened up. That is Clifford Fedd. He was the former coach there, so that job is now open. So, Craig, we are now up to 49, or it's 49 total openings. 18 have been fulfilled now. What is your thoughts on that as it continues, the coaching carousel continues?
Yeah, so I think the fact that we had, I think Christmas was on a Wednesday. You had the New Year's Eve was on a Tuesday. Everything's pushed back 1 week. It's really starting to get active right now. Loganville, though, that's an interesting job. They were super talented 2 years ago. To me, they've always had one of the best defenses. And then last year, where they've struggled on offense. Last year, though, they struggled on defense. I think that's a big get from Nick Snowden coming in from North Cobb, one of the best teams in the state year after year. So I think that's a home run hire. And then Griffin, they've had so many coaching changes over the past decade, probably about 5 or 6. So a lot of turnover right there, but obviously the talent's always there. That's a very proud program. I'm sure there's a ton of alum and people familiar with that program that are definitely wanting to get in there and get them back on track.
100%, guys. So, yep, that is the breaking news. Now it is time for some hoops. So we're talking about the girls' basketball rankings, starting at the top with 6A. Leading there, obviously, is North Forsyth. They've had a great year so far. They picked up a win last night over North Atlanta, 77-28. North Paulding continues to roll as well. 52-41 win last night over Etowah. Also picked up a win over North Cobb as well. Grayson defeated Rockdale County last night, 89-50. And then over this past week, they defeated Newton and Archer, and they received 27 points apiece from Tatum Brown and Coco Rudolph.
Yeah, it looks like you won't be making too many changes so far from what we've seen in 6A. Just total dominant performances. You mentioned North Forsyth, number 1, 77-28 win over North Atlanta in region play last night. Grayson, 89-50 win over Rockdale County. They've got one of the more explosive offenses. And then Campbell, another solid win, 52-34 over Osborne. They've recently had another big win over McEachern where they limited that offense to about 30 points. So to me, it looks like Campbell's got a great defense. Grayson's really started to heat up, and then North Forsyth, another team that can really put the points up.
100%. All right, let's go to 5A now. Hughes slipped past Dutchtown 53-44. You also had River Ridge picking up a big win last night, a top 10 win over Creekview, and dominated that contest, Craig, 70-40. Kayla Cleveland dropped 29 points and led all scorers in that big win. They also beat Pope last week as well. And then Marwell defeated Dutchtown 55-42 in their victory. And then Tri-Cities defeated Arabia Mountain 61-55.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the score last night, 70-40 win. That's the top 10 matchup, number 2 versus number 8. They've got to be happy with that result, just obviously getting it done on both ends of the court. Dominant game. And I think River Ridge, they're very motivated. They felt like last year was a year where they could have won the whole thing, came up just short. They returned pretty much everyone, and that's a big statement win at the right time, back-to-back top 10 victories.
You want to hear a great stat about them? They have 5 scores in double figures this season.
Yeah.
That's averaging.
Sounds about right. They do a great job. They might be one of the best teams in the state, regardless of class, no doubt.
100%. All right, let's go to Class 4A now with the rankings. At the top is Creekside, and I believe Max is going to actually do a story on this team here pretty soon for his blog. They defeated MLK 85-12. They remain undefeated. Marist defeated Druid Hills 82-5 last night. Warner Robins picked up a big win against Perry, 74-26. And then North Oconee, they defeated East Forsyth this past week. Oklahoma softball signee Kendall Wells had 24 points and 14 rebounds.
Yeah, lots of great defense. Marist always wants to slow the game down. That's what makes them so talented. 82-5 win last night, but that great defense obviously is creating opportunities offensively, and then they have one of the best scorers in the country with Harpering. So think with Marist, they got that signature defense this year. They've done it before. They've won state titles, but offensively, they've really got to be happy. That makes them a complete team.
Yes, it does. All right, a big upset in 3A. You had Dawson County defeating Pickens last night, 53-46. That will obviously have a big say on the poll, especially going into next week. So that was a big win for them. Sandy Creek defeated LaGrange 63-21. White County won a pair of road games this past week, defeating GHSA 62-44 and Dawson County 58-44.
Yeah, you mentioned number 10 beating number 1. I think that indicates that 3A might be a little more wide open. I mean, there's obviously multiple contenders in each of these classifications, but they really showcased the depth. You also saw number 5 Oconee County getting a win over their rival Cherokee Bluff, a very competitive game, but it's a great win for Dawson County, seeing just how they followed that up, being able to get that big top 10 victory. Obviously, you got to stay focused. They'll have some more big-time matchups coming up.
Yes, they do. All right, let's go to Class 2A now. At the top of the rankings, Josie, they continue to look impressive. They defeated Burke County 80-36. They picked up a top wins last week as well, defeating Butler 56-52. Thompson, they picked up an 83-18 win over Glen Hills. You had Hardaway defeating Sumter County 62-43 as well. So they've been looking good so far as well, Craig. And then Columbia defeated South Atlanta 56-9.
And then, yeah, another pretty deep group, but we saw Josie play, obviously, that game against St. Francis where they ended up coming up a little short, but they definitely look like a state title contender. Really no weakness on that team. They got great rebounding, great ball handling, shooting. I think they are the clear favorite at that point. They continue to handle business.
All right, let's go to Class A Division 1 now. Elbert County leads. They defeated Commerce 56-24 this past week. Model, they defeated number 9 Temple, so a top 10 win for them, 45-39. A very back-and-forth contest that came down all the way down to the wire. Lamar County defeated Utopian Academy 64-7. They suffered a loss last week to Green Forest, but rebounded very well, and then Central Macon beat Bleckley County 53-37 in their win.
Yep, and then you see number 7, Putnam County. They've been rolling. Obviously, the boys, I think, are still undefeated. They suffered a loss last night to Southwest Atlanta Christian, 55-43. So we'll see how they rebound from that defeat.
100%. Class A Division 2, Taylor County leads. They won against Macon County 68-56 this past week, so a great win for them. Bryan County defeated McIntosh County Academy 56-23. Yeah, Wilcox County, they defeated Dodge County in overtime 73-67, and you had Seminole County defeating Cairo 44-38 last night as well.
Yep, Taylor County is a team that has been in the finals before. It's always a very competitive classification, Class A Division II, and I have that blog out on Friday, so I will take a closer look at that classification.
Yes, sir. And then last but not least, Class A to 3A private. No major movement at the top. Obviously, I think we're on the collision course with Hebron Christian St. Francis. Mount Parents had a very good year as well. They defeated Aquila last night 68-30. Southwest Atlanta Christian defeated Putnam County for a top 10 win for them, 55-43. And Holly Innocence hammered Galloway 83-55 in a road victory for them. So very interesting there. And last but not least, Athens Academy, they lost to Banks County 61-40.
Yeah, Athens Academy is a very talented team, so that shows Banks County is legit. I agree, though. Hebron Christian St. Francis, the big storyline we had Coach Azar on is the injuries Hebron Christian has dealt with this season, having to pull up some freshmen, some sophomores that didn't expect to play in this role this season. They might have been waiting their turn to fill in for some of this talent, but now is their time to step up, and they're going to try to get Coaches are that 17th all-time state title.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, coming up, we have an interview with the CEO of Guardian Caps, Erin Hanson. So don't go anywhere. Come right back here after the break.
Dang, where you get this car?
You need to join the union.
The union?
Absolutely. You can get 10 of these.
Union construction workers earn the highest wages with the best benefits and the most protection in the construction industry. Find your career in construction. Go to GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com and start your future today.
A journeyman with Local 85, when you turn out, you can be hitting 6 figures.
Hey, I have your back, you have my back. We're gonna do this together. We're one for all for one.
College just wasn't for me. Let's look into actual career jobs that wouldn't take college, where I wouldn't, lose money and all that. Instead of losing a lot more money at the end, why not make money and make more money at the end?
The Mechanical Trades Institute is an opportunity towards personal financial freedom through hands-on and rewarding work. Our school is completely free and gives apprentices the knowledge and skills required to gain access to a lifelong career path. Apprentices learn pipe fitting, plumbing, mechanical service, and welding. They earn money as they learn and graduate with no student debt. Start a career with the Mechanical Trades Institute and change your financial future.
What happens after you graduate? Will you go to the next level? Will people have your back in the heat of the battle? Will you still train like a champion in pursuit of greatness? You will when you become an IBEW electrician. Join our team. Visit IBEW613.org.
Sports Daily. So we have a great interview lined up for you guys. We talked to the CEO of Guardian Caps, Erin, Hanson, and just get a little bit of intel about their company. Started, back in 2011. They do a great job here, trying to just be able to, the players' safety and help them out. So let's go ahead and bring her on. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. You do a great job.
Thank you. We're certainly trying over here.
Yes, ma'am. So I want to ask a little bit about your process. I was doing a little bit of research on it, and you guys go through a very extensive process of with this technology and making sure that it aligns and that it really helps with the player safety. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we started the process of developing Guardian Caps in 2010. So this is kind of like a 14-year overnight success story. Everybody thinks we just popped up a year or two ago when they started seeing it on the NFL, but that couldn't be further from the truth. So we started this in about 2010. We have a material science company called the Hanson Group, and we do coatings work and development, solve problems for a lot of companies, and saw the problem in football and set out to solve it.
And then obviously, like you said, you identified a problem, you tried to find a solution. So kind of walk us through everything of when you seen that issue and what that conversation is like were with your husband. Obviously, you guys started this together and doing the research in order to be able to help, athletes and everybody from all levels, not just NFL, but high school, college, and even down to the youth level.
Yeah, so our son was playing middle school football after having 4 daughters. We had a kid who was in football. So that alone, made us very passionate about making sure he had a different outcome than players in the past. And we were doing some work on a coating to flex the exterior shell of an existing helmet. And when that didn't go anywhere, we said, shoot, we need to retrofit every helmet out there. So how do we develop a one-size-fits-all, inexpensive way to make every existing football helmet flex? How do we redirect energy? And so that's what we did. We wanted it to be decoupled. We thought the existing helmets did a great job of preventing skull fracture, but what they didn't address is those forces that then go onto the brain. And so we developed the cap to where it would fit any helmet, and youth all the way through the NFL, the same size fits all the way through. And how could we do that? So we set out with all different materials and just did a lot of testing in the lab and sold our first cap in 2012. So you're looking at 2 years of data and testing before the first one hit fields.
Now, before I throw it to Craig, I do want to ask you just when should players start using this, early on? Like, should it be at the age of 7, first year of football? And your eyes from your research and the data that you've been able to collect, when should players start wearing this cap?
From the very beginning. It's not, parents are concerned about that one big hit, that one big concussion, but the reality is it's the accumulation of all of those impacts over time. And so if you start with that first impact that these kids have, they'll get to the next level. You can extend a career. These guys now, they're making money in the college program, so they don't want to get hurt in high school. They want to make sure that all of those impacts are reduced from the very first time they step out on the field all the way through.
And then in terms of protecting against the just accumulation of hits, obviously that does a great job, but it seems like the material you're using, it's kind of breathable. It's not going to overheat the helmet. It's one size fits all, so it's probably stretchy. How did you guys develop the research to kind of master this current prototype you have?
Some of it was really selective, testing different materials to see what would have the most impact reduction. And some of it, quite honestly, was luck. So, the thickness of the padding, we wanted to make it as light and as thin as we possibly could for aesthetic reasons and light, to protect the player's neck. And so that thing looks bulky, but it's less than half a pound. You're looking at 7 ounces. I mean, it's a light pack, so that was important to us. It's attached by elastic straps, which allow that cap to move independently and redirect those rotational forces. So the foam reduces the linear impacts, the movement redirects the rotational forces. The fabric on the outside was designed to reduce surface friction. People are worried about, they say, oh, well, a hard shell helmet will glance off of each other and a guardian cap will stick. And that is absolutely not true. The coefficient of friction for this fabric is actually less than that of a polycarbonate shell. So you get more slippage. And then as far as the heat goes in the state of Georgia, that part was luck. What we found out is when you have a foam on top of the helmet, it actually insulates. And so it keeps the helmet underneath about 20 degrees cooler in radiant sunlight. So that was just good old-fashioned luck.
Outstanding. And then you mentioned how you've made it affordable. Obviously, behind you, you have some that are the personalized decals over the helmet. But when you mention the fact that you feel like kids should start wearing these early on, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's too hard to get used to having it on your head, but what are the advantages for kids to learn the game of football playing it with the guardian caps on when they're in the youth programs?
Right, so you're not going to get that loud crack of the helmets coming together. So that in and of itself makes it a little less scary. You've got a soft thud, fingers when a quarterback's throwing and he hits the lineman in front of him, it's a padded surface for fingers. So it's helmet to ground, helmet to helmet, helmet to all body parts. So if a kid has, somebody else running at him and the helmet's going into his ribs, it's a padded surface. So all of those things make it a little bit easier to learn the game of football. But not having that loud crack, I think psychologically helps. You don't have those vibrations and the sound that two hard shell helmets are going to experience. And then as far as affordability, when they buy bulk, I think our average bulk selling price is about $53 a cap. And so when they buy it in bulk for the whole team, youth players, that thing's going to last 4 or 5 years. So you're looking at about an average cost of $10 a year to have added protection.
And then I see the caps in the middle, the headband type thing. I think I saw some girls during flag football wearing that. Obviously, it can be used in girls lacrosse also. You never know if the ball is going to hit you, a stick, a collision. So where have you seen just the growth in getting involved in some other sports?
Yeah, so flag football's been huge. Flag programs are expanding enormously in the state of Georgia. The Arthur Blank Foundation is doing a new grant program for high schools in the state of Georgia to write in to get a $10,000 grant to start a girls flag program or $5,000 grant to better establish the program they already have. And so girls flag is expanding. The loop can be used for soccer, volleyball, cheerleading. I mean, you name it. That loop it's a 5-star Virginia Tech rated product. So it's got the highest protection rating and we're the least expensive 5-star on their chart.
And then so it can be used at any level of football. You've already debunked some of the myths with the hard shell, the friction that people said at first, but what else just about getting it out this upcoming season? What are some of the initiatives you've laid out to encourage and be able to help programs out being able to get this on their players?
Right. So I think you guys covered it. The Arthur Blank Foundation generously is putting $100,000 into a program for the state of Georgia that was matched by the NFL. So there's a $200,000 pot of money for high schools in the state of Georgia if they write in by mid-March to apply. And so that will get them 50 guardian caps for their high school program free of charge. So it's really, really cool to see that the NFL is supporting us in a huge way. I think they've seen such a benefit from their mandate. They started in 2024 and they expanded the mandate to where now every player except quarterbacks, kickers, punters, I think special teams, everyone's wearing them in every contact practice throughout the season and postseason. And so their concussion rates that they've put data out on have been reduced more than 50%, and they're at a 9-year low. And so I think when they started seeing that data, they wanted the same for the high school programs. And so they want to make sure, kids all the way through are going to have that extra added safety.
100%. When we say thank you so much for coming on and giving us a little more intel and insight, obviously, about the great things that you guys do with the Guardian Caps and just the technology and how it's not only helping the next generation, but helping people currently in the NFL and college. So I just want to say thank you so much and hope to have you on again soon.
Absolutely. And reach out to guardiansports.com. We'll be happy to put you in touch with the sales rep and get you a good price. Thanks so much. You take care.
Yes, ma'am. Take care. Thank you so much. All right, guys, coming up, we will talk to Don Corr of the GHSA a little bit about the latest with wrestling. Obviously, the schedule got moved around a little bit with the snowstorm, so we'll get the latest on that, the duels, the individuals, and we'll also talk to him about baseball, that upcoming season as well, and the latest that everything he will have and coordinating some of the events here in the GHSA. All right, welcome back to Georgia High School Sports Daily. So our last segment of the day, we will talk to Don Corr of the GHSA. Have a lot of news to talk to him about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring him on. Hey, Corr, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about y'all?
I'm doing pretty good. Appreciate you coming on, sir. So I kind of want to start and ask you a little bit about just kind of what's the latest been with you. Obviously, I know you're coordinating the wrestling, obviously with the tournaments and everything going on. Can you talk just a little bit about that and what that has been trying to plan that out?
Well, we started the dual state tournament run to the championship, so we or wrestle to the championship, I should say. But So we started this past weekend in and around all of the snow and everything, which wreaked havoc on our plans. But so we got that going. We have girls preliminaries this week to see who makes the state tournament for girls, and then the boys, 6 state tournaments are on Friday and Saturday this weekend.
Gotcha. And then how did you have to obviously navigate with the snowstorm? We know usually, there'll be tournaments Thursday and Friday and even on Saturday, but how did you have to navigate that with the snowstorm being on Friday and kind of, hurting Saturday as well?
Everybody was really scheduled for Friday and Saturday for the most part. Some had scheduled earlier because that's their decision. Region and areas make those decisions. Some beat the storm and had planned it that way for a while. I can tell you we had a lot that didn't. We allowed them to move it up from Friday and Saturday all the way to Thursday. Some might have went Wednesday. And then the ones that didn't get it in North Georgia on Friday or Saturday and didn't move it up, they went on Monday, and we knocked them all out then. And then we had our seeding meetings were yesterday to determine who wrestled who in the playoffs and the state championship. And all of those brackets are online on our website.
Yes, sir. And then I want to ask you a little bit. Obviously, we talked about wrestling and appreciate you giving us intel now. I want to ask you a little bit about baseball. I know you had a big-time tournament last year that you were able to do. I know you're head of coordinating events there. What do you kind of have planned for this year as far as some of the baseball tournaments?
Well, we got that. It's coming back, and due to all the states having different timelines to play games, we're going to cut it back just for this 1 year to 8 teams. We're going to have a section at Northside Columbus with a Mississippi team, a Alabama team, and 2 Georgia teams there. And then we'll have a section at Beaufort. And then that's on the 7th and 8th of March. Mm-hmm. And then the 2 winners of those 2 brackets will play on Peachtree Sports Network on the 15th. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's the day. And the both runner-ups will play for the 3rd place trophy, and they'll be on TV as well. So we're looking forward to it. We're trying to create some excitement around baseball, and baseball is very big in this state, and we want to kind of get something going similar to the Corky Kell, and putting it on TV will be a big step in it. Next year, we're going back to 16 teams. Mm-hmm. We'll have 2 out of Louisiana, 2 out of Mississippi. We'll have some out of Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina next time around. It will be in February instead of March next year.
Certainly, yeah. The baseball town's been unbelievable. I've enjoyed seeing the Lowndes Parkview rivalry heat up. It looks like today, though, you guys just updated your postseason ratings for basketball. They came out, I guess, typically on a Wednesday. I have a question. When it comes to basketball, a lot of these teams, they're going to play a ton of out-of-state teams. How does that come into play in terms of your rating system?
Well, and when they play a non-GHSA, that's GHSA schools and GI AAA or whatever the other one goes by, GI AA, I think it is, and they play out of state. Any school that's a non-member school, it counts. It only counts in their winning percentage. It's too difficult for us to track all of their opponents that are not our member schools. We can force our member schools to put the stuff in the MIS system, but we can't force other states and people to do it. So it only counts on their winning percentage. A win is a win, and a loss is a loss. So their winning percentage, which is only 1/3 of the formula. So they do get credit for it because we want our schools playing good schedules and people out of state, and we didn't want to lose all of that.
And then another thing we see in basketball is a ton of cross-classification matchups. You'll see the 6As play against the 3As. Is that why you guys do the power ratings for every classification? Because when a Class 3A school is going to play a Class 6A or 5A, you need to know what their score is so it impacts the teams that will use that rating system.
Yeah, every school in the whole state can impact it because we count the opponents, all of our schools' opponents' winning percentage and opponents' winning percentage. And that's almost 60% of the formula. It's 65, somewhere around there percent of the formula. So that's why we have to have all the scores. That's why we have to do that. And this is only for seeding purposes. It doesn't really affect the what I would call the region standings, but it does affect the seeding for single A, D1, 2A, 3A, and private.
That's right, because we will have the region tournaments going statewide. In terms of the wrestling coming up, what are you looking forward to just with the new venue location, just what you're seeing so far from the talent?
Well, some of these are repeat ones. The ones we have repeating did a great job last year in hosting the state duel, so we had them back. We got a couple new ones that wanted, and some of the changes during reclass made us change some venues. So these people, they do a great job. We're excited now. Wrestling is a very, very exciting sport. You got a lot going on at one time. You know, we'll be wrestling on 4 mats in a team competition Friday and Saturday. When we get to Macon, we'll be on 12 mats and everybody wrestling at the same time. So it's a lot going on and a lot of excitement. Wrestling's a really, really exciting sport.
100%. Well, Don Corr, that's all the time we have for today. We appreciate you coming on and giving the latest with wrestling and all the spring sports coming up. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, guys, coming up tomorrow, we will have Brett Greenberg of Alabama 247 on the show and our Fast Break headlines. So come back, same time, 12 to 1 p.m. on the Peachtree Sports Network.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off. Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
Are you interested in becoming a deputy or a jailer? The Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office is hiring and looking for individuals passionate about protecting and serving their community. If you are 18 years or older, join our team by visiting gogcso.com for more information. Gwinnett County, together we can make a difference.
Basic combat training